Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 1 o'clock session, Innovate Faster with Power Apps. Before we get into this, the FlexCare fact today is vCISO is a new offering within FlexCare. On a quarterly basis, you have a security engineer look at the scan of your environment, assist with the vulnerabilities, compliance, configurations, and overall security awareness. Today we have Andy Carr with Razor Consulting and Jessica Miller and Gwen McCartney with Red River Title. Kind of a little background with this. Gwen is also at the title company, and they called, Gwen or Nicole, I can't remember who, but they called me and said, hey, we are acquiring another business. I said, okay, great. We're going to need some computers and a server and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, no problem. And then we hired Tate. And his first project was to do this server migration. And he said, hey, there's a weird app. It's being hung on by bubble gum and paper clips, and there's no backups, and I'm really worried they're going to lose all their data if we move it. And yeah, it threw a bit of a wrench in all the projects, but we ended up working with Andy at Razor to come up with, a solution, and I'd say it's gone pretty well. I don't know if you guys want me to do your bios or not, but
yeah, just word for word.
Okay.
No, just
all right. So I'll let these guys introduce themselves and kind of get into the presentation, but pretty cool how everything is shook out.
cool. Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm Andy Carr with Razor Consulting. I'm a senior business intelligence analyst. We've been at Razor for over 7 years now. We've been working with Gwen and Jessica for, I think, since about the first of the year, a little after that. So, and the app that we're going to look at today, we went live, I think it was mid-July, right? So in about 4 or 5 months, we went through a series of testing and design. And we'll take you through that, show you where they were with their legacy system prior, why we chose Power Apps, and what it looks like now. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves a little too.
So I'm Jessica Miller, president at Red River Title Services. We've been around since 1910 as a company, and we do abstracting, so it's a lot of history stuff. A lot of legacy information saved on our server, and then also papers and everything. But all of our documents are very pertinent to everyday life for us. And we save on our location. We have 80,000 abstracts, and abstracts are legal size bound documents pertaining to property in Cass and Clay County. And so Andy's job was to save that legacy information. Our old system was going from 2002. So in the technology world, that's ancient. So he had his hands full. And he's been great to work with and transitioning us from old legacy to new age.
Hi, my name is Gwen McCartney. I am with the title company in Fargo, and our company is the one that acquired Red River Title, and we called up Network Center. Yeah, when we made that acquisition to have them help us with all of that, and they brought in Razor, and they have been fantastic to work with. As a business owner, we really appreciate everything they've done, not just with what we've asked, but sort of looking ahead and how can we incorporate things that we know you're going to need down the road, and we've actually already started our second project with them, so. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, like I said, we're going to take you through the legacy application first. Tate, I know, was, like Jake said, let's say alarmed at some of the, parts of this. And we've all have seen applications like this where it's been around. We'll see even in the future slides here that the data does go back all the way to 2002. So there's a great deal of history, and we were able to basically keep that intact as we move their future, day-to-day operations into Power Apps. And does everyone here know? Mostly people here know what a Rolodex is, right? Yeah. So that is basically when it started. It was actually.
It was
Yes.
cards that we sit there and flip through for part of our searches
Yeah.
for names.
So, yeah, so with the prior system, and if you wanted to add to this, they would actually edit the JPEG file itself. So there was no real way to search for a particular judgment either. So we'll take you through how we manage that as well. Going on, why Power Apps, and that's one of the main reasons why we're here today is to talk about why do we choose Power Apps. It's a low code and no code, environment where people like me we can do it. To be honest, it lives within the Microsoft ecosystem, which is really helpful too. So you're not, you may eliminate a need for another software that could be added on. And it's a cost-effective way, like it says up there, to leverage the existing Microsoft licensing. One other benefit too is that it is mobile ready. We'll see that most of the application or most of the use is on a desktop that we'll show you, but they do also have a tablet use as well. And we'll show that as we go along here. We have done a few other Power App examples too. We'll talk about the abstract tracking and judgment search, but we have a client that's working through a data collection where they have a bunch of clients. They have data that they want to collect for each one of them. So we've set up like a standardized collection. That one is through also, it's a Power Apps, but there's two types. I'll back up a second here. There's a model-driven app and then a Canvas app. So the one that we'll show you that Red River uses is a Canvas app, and it allows for more customization. The model-driven app, it seems more like a form. It's like an Excel form or something, Microsoft form. And that's what worked for the data collection app. And also the next one, the work-in-progress reporting, where we could have the users or employees enter what they estimated projects that they're working on, what that's going to bring in over the next 12 months. Accounts receivable notes, that was also a model-driven app, but that was embedded within a Power BI report where an accounts receivable clerk could take a look, say like, hey, here's what we have due here, and then make a note within Power BI to say, I talked to this person on this date, and to provide that basis of history there. We've done a few others that have dealt with SharePoint. That's the fourth bullet, document library for uploading. That has been a more recent Power Apps that we built, and that was built on top of SharePoint, and that is a Canvas app, and also approval workflows to say like, hey, this is something submitted, and it kicks off a Power Automate to where it sends an email to the next person. They can either approve or decline it right within the email, and that kind of keeps things moving along those fronts. So there's just a few examples of what we have done, and just kind of the varied nature of what Power Apps can do. So now, here is the new portal. So this is all web-based. You can see here the kind of the top row. It ends up dividing itself into two different sections. One is abstract tracking, and that is on the top row. There's a few different options they have there. And then the second row is searching for judgments. And as we go along here, here's the abstract tracking. Again, it's pretty straightforward here, but there's a few interesting things I want to touch on here. On the left, you'll say, click here and start scanning. So they do have, one of the things that they do is have scanners. So all of the abstracts, giant documents, by the way, like just physically take up a lot of space. Yeah. But they all have barcodes on it, so they can come in and scan 3 or 4 and batch through and track them all. Like say if Jessica wants to check out a few of them at a time, if they're at her desk, then she can come through, scan them, mark them under the location and user. That is that's where you'll find Jessica's desk, and the user is Jessica. If there's any additional comments that can be logged there, that is done as well. There is some coding that can be done with this. So if we're delivering it to a customer, that'll pop up an additional box to select the customer from there.
Spot that we can sign it, so then we have kind of more documentation of that customer signed it for it. There's a lot of different options within the Power Apps that we can kind of tweak to customize.
Yeah. So all of that entering of the abstract information leads to abstract history. I did, Jessica didn't want me to block out any of the comments, but I did it anyways, just out of habit, I guess. But so this is actually what this is a Power BI report that's embedded within Power Apps. There's two different sections here. The top section is the live section. So if you go in and enter in an abstract where it's at, you can see it directly right within the next, once you flip the page over. This allowed for a little more customization than what was on the prior. You could view an abstract's history, but there was no way to sort it. It was all in ascending order, so it started with the first time it was ever logged into the system, and then you had to scroll all the way to the bottom to be able to see where it was currently at right now. And this is a good example of a Power BI report as well. You can search by abstract number if you know, hey, Jessica, I know I checked this abstract out on June 28th, and you could get down to all of the abstracts that you moved that day. And one of the things you can see too on the right, which kind of goes to how we all sign for things on keypads as well, but that's done within an iPad. You can see the signature when that's delivered to a specific individual. And we'll take a look at the iPad interface as well. The second part of this, which was really, I thought, interesting and took a lot of testing back and forth to get where it functionally works, is searching for judgments. So one of the things that surprised, I don't know, maybe surprised me is the right word, but like, you have to find all the judgments. There's no missing them, right?
Right. Otherwise, we're liable and we have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
we really rely on this system quite a bit. The system also allows sound X. So you have a really weird last name, it kind of will pull up multiple variations of that. And I think that was probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Was trying to figure out how to convert that old sound X to Power BI.
Yeah, and SoundX, and that is a SQL function, so it's embedded within SQL. There. So when you guys said that, I'm like, yeah, we'll figure that out. Like it'll be no problem. And through a lot of testings, it was not a problem. So, but you can see where up here we search for Carr. What SoundX is actually returns a value. So for Carr, it would be C, and then it's 3 numbers after it, and it groups. And basically, after the first letter, it ignores vowels. So you can see, and duplicates too. So you can see the results that it provides. It's Carrillo, some different, C and K sound alike. So those two will get grouped together. But this is a good way to be able to make sure that they're not missing any, missing any of those searches as well. We did also include you can see the red starts with button. So that is a like for like. So they will, when you search for Carr, you will only get like Carr, C-A-R-R, Carrillo, and things that start exactly the same. So there are multiple avenues to make sure that they're getting all the results that they need as they go through. But I think the SoundX logic, my first instinct was that it would have to be handled not within Power Apps. That it would be like you'd type in Carr, hit search, it would go out to Power Automate to generate that 3-digit or 4-digit value, bring it back, and then we can match it that way. But was able to get all of that logic within Power Apps. The response time to it is really quick too. So as you're typing, it'll actually filter the list that you go through. So when you, let me back up. So when you do, if you want to look for the judgments for that particular person, you can click on it. It will take you to, actually we have linked in those prior index cards or Rolodex cards. You can view those. You can also enter judgments into it as well. I don't have a screenshot of that, but you can, that's how anything new is being entered in, and that allows for easier search and retrieval on that. And future project actually that we have on tap, I'm hoping, is to automate that importing of judgments. As of right now, all of the judgments are hand entered, and so we're gonna automate that portion as well. Hopefully Hopefully, we will. Yeah, we will. And this is the tablet version here. Again, this is where you get that clear-looking signature box that we saw in the prior page. But this allows them to go out, deliver an abstract, and collect that information. The tablet does not have to be online when it goes through, when you enter the information in. But it uses the embedded camera within the tablet to scan. Again, it's more or less like the same process, but it'll store that information when they're back at work, when they can connect to Wi-Fi. That's when you can upload the movements, the abstract movements. I feel like I just ran right through this because we're already at the end of our slides, but that's about it. We did want to touch on the SoundX too. We did mention it. That was, we did a lot of testing back and forth. Jessica was a great partner, and being able to, I'd push out an update for her to test. I'd get results back. Teams message, like, hey, try it out to see if this, And she was, they've been a great partner to work with, and just the immediate feedback and the directness, I think, has really made the app function as well as it does. Because one of the things I like to say is that we don't want to, if you would, I think about the initial requirements that we got for this project, and then where it ended up. There's always, and what I have in my mind is never how it ends up, because I like that constant communication and feedback, where we'll go a week, we'll work on something, we'll provide it, you'll test it, and you'll say like, hey, can it do this? Or like, Andy, what is this? It might be like, this isn't even close to what we were thinking about. But that's good for us too, because we don't want to go away for 3 months, build something, and come back and have you say, this isn't what we want at all. Like, this is, so it kind of keeps us on the road to where you want to go with all the apps. We do have a few we're almost done with our second. No, I'm blanking. Accounting. Yeah, it's accounting. So we're creating invoices, any credit memos that might go along with that, deposits and statements for customers. That is, I would say, 80% done. And then, we have a few other projects in the pipeline as well.
What's nice about it too that I've come across is that working with Andy, it's easy to say, hey, what about this? Can you do something like this? And he's like, oh yeah, that's not a problem. I'm like, okay, cool. So then the next day he'll make it go live, and then there it is. My little suggestion of, hey, can we do this? It's there. So it seems like it's so customable to anything for anybody. It's just been really great. And put a spotlight on me. But last week, 2 weeks ago, you're like, hey, can we get some screenshots of the old system? I couldn't remember how to use it. I used it for 12 years. And I'm like, I don't even know, where do I have to go for these screenshots? It's just so easy and user-friendly for anybody to learn. And it's just like there's nothing new. It's just great. It's been so good for us.
Yeah, and like I said, Jessica and Gwen have been great partners. They're employees. It seems like they just jumped right into. We got a lot. I think it was the first day that we went live. We got some really good feedback that we were able to incorporate right away. It is hard to get people to like use this if it's not live, right? Like if you say like, hey, this is going to be live in a month, they're like, okay, we'll figure it out in a month. But like once you kind of throw them in there, and they're like, all right, yeah. So it's been like I mentioned, like they've been a good partner, and it's been a really good project. We haven't had to do many updates, I don't think, since then. It seems to be on a stable environment. And maybe I know we were talking just briefly before this, but you can touch on like how the uptime of this has been compared to the prior legacy. You haven't had like those days where
The server. So we were also, when we transitioned, we were also on a very old server. Tate knows. Again, with the whole rubber bands and bandages and everything. So the server goes down, we were sitting ducks. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't move anything. So important part of this project is that we can look up an abstract number and we can see, okay, it's at so-and-so's desk or this desk, or it went to this customer in 2005. Our information went back that far, and that really helps us being able to find those abstracts that are replacing is either $500 to $2,000 to replace that abstract. So it's really important that we have this information, this history. So when the system was going down with the old server, it was horrible. And it would take, we got to shut it down, and it takes 4 hours to restart. And what do? Send everybody home. Now I can be at home, log in to the website, and I'm live. I'm right there, and we haven't had any problems with anything going down, any information lost. It's just the whole system in the new age, I guess, has been wonderful for us.
Yeah, and like we've mentioned a bunch of times, Power Apps is completely customizable. We've been able to incorporate things with this project that I'm to be honest, I'm learning a lot along the way too. So being able to incorporate that SoundX logic right in has been really, really valuable. One thing that has been also really helpful along with this, I know that AI is a big conversation point. AI can kind of, as it incorporates with this, like if I actually looked up the other day, I'm pretty sure I looked this up while we were doing this too, but like just asking for help with the SoundX logic, and it pointed me right away to Power Automate. They'll be able to do it there. I'm like, cool, like that works. And the other day I looked it up. I'm just like, I wonder if that's in there. I was like, can you build Power or SoundX logic within Power Apps? And it did. I looked at it and I'm like, well, it looks pretty close to what I did. Like it honestly, there's a lot of things like that where it can get you 80 to 90% of the way there. And then that's where the customizable part is really handy, is that, I think I know, or we know, we have a lot of employees that are really sharp with Power Apps. And honestly, they all, the ones I know, that all will use parts of AI, like the Chat GPT, or keep it within Microsoft with Copilot to help them along the way too. And it cuts down on the time that we spend trying to figure out the logic for something or trying to figure out how to code. It can get you, like I said, a lot of, 80% of the way there, and be able to fine tune it from there is really where the testing comes into.
I'd like to just jump in really fast too and talk really quickly about our second project, which is we're basically incorporating our entire accounts receivable into a similar app that will link to it. So we'll be able to see, what invoices are outstanding for each abstract in here. And when we acquired Red River Title, their accounting system, it was part of a publicly traded company, so all of their accounting was in a big enterprise system. We basically had to start from scratch. And we have a lot of detailed information that we track on each invoice related to property and customers. We have about 7 different customizable fields on our invoices. And we were looking at all sorts of cloud-based solutions that exist for accounting versus even starting with some sort of more robust system where we could actually customize those fields, which is surprisingly hard to do on the available softwares that are out there. So it actually ended up being more cost effective for us to build an accounts receivable system from scratch, if you will, with Power BI than having everyone in our entire office have to sign up for QuickBooks, over however many years. Actually saved us a lot of money. So it's, as a business owner, it's scary to think of starting, a customized software and what that's going to mean for your bottom line. But we've been really happy with what we've gotten for the money that we've spent.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, and that's, like I said, we're pretty close to being done with that. It's been Jessica's, again, testing all the edges of the edge cases that we can run into. So, hopefully we're hoping for the end of the year for that. So that will be, again, one of the benefits to Power Apps is that it is pretty fast. Like we can, design things and spin things up fairly quickly. So if you do have any questions, or you think like, hey, I might have a case, I might have an example. Would this work within Power Apps? Come and visit. We're out in the kind of in the far corner of the room there, but come over and visit us, and we'd be glad to talk to you and answer any questions that you have. And speaking of questions, are there any questions for here? Tate? Oh, go ahead. It does pretty good with that. It does require a gateway. So there has to be, like if you want to keep everything within either Access database or whatever, SQL database, it does require a gateway, but it's able to do that. Like that's not a restriction at all. Yeah.
With all the data going into Microsoft 365, can you integrate it then into like Copilot per se and ask it more in-depth questions and have it do things on the fly then with that data that's in there now?
Yes, you can. It's not built into the app that we have right now, but I think that's basically like the next step of Power BI and Power Apps is being able to ask it those live questions of say like, hey, can you show me all the abstracts, like it's just in plain English, like that we moved yesterday, and providing that gallery of list of results. Yeah.
Any other questions?
That's scanned into a legacy system, so it's in, it's basically a big image file then,
Yep.
And Power Apps can read that pretty well, pretty quickly. It looks like it can, obviously.
Yeah, yep, and that's going back to
Yeah, I think you
the
showed
wrong
in the
way,
beginning.
right? But
There
yeah,
we go. Yep.
yeah. So this is an image. Yeah, it's a JPEG file that's on OneDrive.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's there. I have not run into, I think along each step of the way, even before we started, I'm like, does this work with, or can we integrate scanners with Power Apps? And the answer is yes. And there's just a kind of endless ways of getting things done with Power Apps, and it's really customizable.
So one question that I had with this, and maybe we don't have an answer yet, but this guy had maybe mentioned, the old Access database, the forms and all that stuff. Microsoft eventually moves on from that, right? You had to have the runtime, otherwise it would break. And I'm wondering with these, like, let's give it 5 years from now. This app, if you leave it alone, at least from what we know from Microsoft, is it good, or does it still need some TLC every once in a while? Because there might be a function or something that we put in here today that they're eventually, next year, they might decide, hey, there's an upgraded version, or we don't support that anymore, or XYZ. Have you run into anything like that yet?
We haven't, no, just because Power Apps is still pretty new, right? Like it's really, honestly, like in the last couple of years where we started doing a lot of work within it, we haven't run into any functions that have disappeared or anything like that. I think within Microsoft too, it's pretty good of say like if you have a function or a piece of logic written within it, like, and I change the name of something else within the app, like it'll automatically pick that up. So I shouldn't say assumption, but my guess is like, hey, if this function doesn't work anymore, whatever they're replacing it with, first of all, we'll know about it, and we should be able to test it before it ever goes live again or something like that. But since it's within the Microsoft, I shouldn't say, maybe assume this, but like I doubt that anything would, be deprecated without us knowing it, or without some severe like notification that this isn't going to work anymore.
Right. I'm just curious, and not that you would necessarily know, but similar to PowerShell, when PowerShell came out, like, yes, this is everything, and then they just start deprecating random things, like, oh, I was using that. Shoot, now I got to go back and update all my scripts. And then second question, just out of curiosity, any plans for OCR, or are you going to keep these Rolodex images? I mean, they're great to look at, but just
Yeah.
right, you don't see them very often.
No, yeah, and that was one of the thoughts I've had too. Is like, can we get the information off of it into basically like into the Dataverse, into a data table? We wanted to make sure we got this part done first, so that was a priority. But that is something in the back of my mind of, can we get this? How can we move off of the Rolodex system? There's a lot. Do you know how many?
No, I don't know how many.
It's a big
Trying
one.
to, I think there's like 150,000 JPEG files, somewhere around there. It's a lot. Yeah, it was this. It was a lot of copy and paste to get it on OneDrive. Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions?
You're talking about embedding like SQL, Power BI, Power Automate stuff. Do you also have ways to embed, say, Report Builder or reporting service reports into it?
We haven't run into that yet. No, but generally the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But Power BI embeds really pretty well right into it.
Anybody else with questions? All right. Well, Andy, Jessica, Gwen, thank you so much. I think we'll have a little break here before the next session. Yeah, come find Andy at his booth if you guys have any further questions as the day progresses.